Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
Good to go. Thank you. Item number 1, apologies. Have we any apologies from the floor? No. Okay. Move on. Agenda item number 2, declarations of interest. If there's any interest from the floor, or are members happy to declare them as the meeting progresses? Good to go. Okay. Item number 3, environmental health report, and I'll hand over to Gillian for this.
Thank you, Chair. Evening, members, colleagues. Members, take you to item 3.1, an item for decision. This report has a recommendation that the Council writes to the Northern Ireland Assembly Minister for Health, seeking a review of the regulatory framework for cosmetic treatments in Northern Ireland. And there is a draft of correspondence attached to the appendix. Members, you'll see some background there that Council does have responsibility for a limited number of these types of what you might say more traditional treatments. However, non-surgical cosmetic treatments have increased significantly. It's one of the big growth areas in the UK, and also increased significantly in the age range of people who are attracted to this. But like many things, legislation and guidance has not kept up to date with what is going on. And right across England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, there has been some commentary on the need for an upgraded and an updated regime. And in particular, the UK government have confirmed its intention to introduce a regime in England. And we feel in Northern Ireland that the legislation dealing with this should also be reviewed. And this is being brought forward on a Northern Ireland-wide basis by environmental health colleagues across all of our councils. And so, members, I would place a recommendation before you and the draft correspondence. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Gillian. I see Councillor Haughey, you have your hand raised.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Gillian, for the report. Yeah, it was interesting reading. On when I first came across the report, I contacted a number of people who worked kind of in that field, and to be honest, they all agreed that this was something that needed to happen, and needed to happen as soon as possible. So I think that, you know, the overall response was very much welcoming. You know, a bit of pressure from the councils to the minister to try and bring things up to date. There's no doubt that, you know, a lot of people who work in this industry do have a medical background, but unfortunately the legislation, as was pointed out in the report, allows for people to kind of operate in a grey area. And also, you know, when you see things like under 18s being able to access lip fillers and Botox and things like that, there's no doubt, and Gillian, you hit the nail on the head, you know, it's time for the legislation to catch up with where society is. So I'm quite happy to propose this. I think it's a welcome step, and it's good to see the council being proactive. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haughey. And Councillor Flaherty, you'd like to speak?
Are we good to go? Yeah. Oh, doesn't usually keep me quiet, does it, Chair? No, thank you very much, Chair, for letting me in there. Look, I'm more than happy to second this proposal, Gillian. I have to agree with everything Councillor Huggins said. We've sort of all seen this booming industry, and it's only right and proper that it's kept safe for all users. But more than happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. And then we move on to item number 3.2. Gillian, I'll ask you for this one as well.
Thank you, Chair. Members, item 3.2 is a draft response provided at appendix in relation to the Health and Safety Executive consultation on their proposed corporate plan for the next 5 years. Members, you will know that also local councils have a role in regulation of health and safety enforcement alongside the Health and Safety Executive. We regulate in somewhat different sectors, and it's differentiated by the main activity carried out at that particular premises. And you will see there where the council is the main enforcing authority. There has been a long history of working in partnership with the Health and Safety Executive, and I would say that that probably hasn't been as much to the fore in the past several years. So members, we have taken this opportunity in our response to the HSE's corporate plan to really put forward that as an organisation, as a council, we would wish to work in partnership on many of the areas which they have proposed. And I give the example of workplace transport, which is a very high risk area. The Health and Safety Executive have identified that as one of their key areas. And certainly councils, we would support that. And there is much benefit from working together on an initiative right across Northern Ireland on an example such as that. So members, I would commend the recommendation as set out of the appendix to you, which really is very much in support of their activities and their plans, and really reinforcing that when we work in partnership and a collective effort, our outcomes across Northern Ireland should be better. Thank you.
Thank you, Gillian, for that report. Councillor Macaulay.
Yeah, just happy enough to propose, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Hawhian.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, happy to second. I know there's sort of you're looking down that list trying to find something that you would actually say you could focus on, but there's literally nothing you could take out of that. They're all just as important as the next one. So, good work, and I'm happy to second.
Thank you.
Yes, Chair. It was just to basically sort of come in to second it. But that's already been done. But just in terms of a comment, certainly coming from an industry that, in terms of the ag sector, that has been one of the most dangerous. It's certainly very much to be welcomed. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Hawhian. You still have your hand raised. Do you want to come back in again? That's okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gillian, for that. Can we move on now to item number 4, Environmental Services Report, and I'll ask Barry to present this. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you, Chair. Evening, members. This is a second report in relation to the survey that was carried out about the provision of allotments, etc., in the borough. So the survey results are now in. There was 320 respondents, which is a good response for a survey like this. The detail of what questions were asked and the answers for them are set out in front of you. Happy to go into it in any detail that members wish, but I suppose the long and short of it is there does seem to be a desire in our communities that there would be some sort of involvement by councils in allotments, and the detail of that, as I say, is in the survey. What we're really asking this evening, members, is are yourselves content that we will go away, do some more work around this, because obviously the provision of allotments, there's lots of different options, there's lots of different costs, funding would have to be looked at, etc., etc. So what we're really saying, members, is are you content that we go away, do an outline business case, identify the best options going forward, perhaps locations, the cost, the ramifications, the implications, and then bring a further report back to members before a decision could be made. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thank you, Barry. And the first one in was Councillor Flaherty, followed by Alderman Newtree, and then Councillor Pope.
Thank you very much, Barry. We've been I've spoken about this before, as you know, and I've spoken to you about this, a number of officers about this. It's very interesting actually to see the results, and as you say, such a good response. But some of us who are nerdy gardeners ourselves, dare I say it, and involved with some of these groups that do this, would have probably guessed that this would have had a big uptake, and it's been quite good to see. Now, I see there the recommendation clearly that you're going to undertake some more research into this. It's the costings, I suppose, that I probably would have the question about, because there's a big range there in in the results that came back about, you know, who was willing to, those that were willing to pay varying amounts of money. So do we have a feeling, would we be aiming for this as a, dare I say, a free service? You look after it yourself, or as in most cases, there would be a ground charge. In the vast majority of cases, there are. Where would we be setting that? Is that what we're going to have to start looking at? Otherwise, Chair, I'd be more than happy to propose that we do take a bit more of a look at this. This is a big growing community. The gardening and allotment community is it's a huge pull for people now, particularly coming out of the pandemic. It really did. There was real explosion in this, in people's own households, you know, and wanting to expand out. I can see why this would be. So I'm more than happy to propose this, but I think that's going to be the key bit here. Never mind where, but I don't know where I would like it, but I think that's really where the nub of the whole discussion is going to take us. But happy to propose that we move forward with this, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. Alderman Mutry.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the officer for bringing this report tonight. I would be content to second this report that some more work's done around it. I mean, it is encouraging that over 300 people took the time to fill it in. 70% of those folk are already growing produce in their own gardens, and probably their gardens aren't big enough. 76% indicated that they're very interested in doing something, and 93% said the provision of water on site is the biggest issue. So really, I want to know if we do some more work on that. I mean, would we consider doing a pilot scheme or something that would maybe, you know, dip our foot in the water without committing to something very big? And how soon could we get something like that up and running? Council has plenty of land about, so I hope that we'll be coming back with a further report very soon and be able to accede to the request for some people in some area of the borough, and then if that's successful and not problematic, to roll it out further. I'm happy to second the proposal made by Councillor.
Thank you, Alderman Mutry. Councillor Pope, followed by Councillor McIlrath.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Barry. Likewise, I'm very supportive of this, and thank you for organising the survey, and it's good to see the results of this. It certainly shows that there is a very high demand in the Banbridge area and other areas too. And we know the benefits of allotments for mental and physical health. And also the opportunity at this time, you know, to grow your own, you know, fruit and vegetables. So very supportive of this, and thank you for the work.
Thank you, Councillor Pope. Councillor McIlrath.
Thank you, Chair. And listen, it's just simply to add my support as well, and thank Barry for bringing this forward. I know of at least one allotment project that's really successful outside Tandragee, and the number of folk that are out there working those allotments. So yeah, and some of the other speakers has alluded to the impact that mental health COVID has had on folks' mental health over this last while, and it's good for people to be able to get out and do this, and there is a desire. Generally speaking, some of our surveys that we do, there's not a great uptake, but this shows really good response, and yeah, we just want to lend my weight and support to another report coming back, Barry, with more detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McIlrath. Can I now ask for a proposal and a seconder to go into committee for consideration for the confidential items of business? Members and online viewers, in accordance with the schedule of 6 of the local government, we will now be moving into confidential session of the council. Sorry, apologies. Councillor Alderman Midford.
Thank you, Chair. Just before we move into confidential business, can I ask a question around 5.2, the side waste collection overview? Can one of the officers explain to me why that needs to be taken in confidential business? I've gone through the report and I don't see it as specific to any person in the council. So if I could just have some guidance in relation to that, please.
All right, do you want to take that, please? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. In relation to why it's in confidential business, because there's costs associated with that, and there's only a limited number of companies who may be involved in that process. That's why we put it in as confidential business, so it doesn't affect any quotes or anything else that we may get if it was going down a particular path.
Thank you, Barry. Okay. And I move on then. Members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into confidential session of the Council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask the ICT officer to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of this meeting can proceed? Good to go. We have one item of correspondence, and I will ask Barry to take that. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. This correspondence came in to the Chief Executive recently, members, and we just wanted yourselves to have a view of it. Completely at your discretion what you want to happen next. The DFI have come in and let everyone know. So this went to all the councils in Northern Ireland. It went to obviously voluntary groups and organisations as well. So it lays out the plans and the change in relation to cutting regimes that the department will be having next year. In line, they have indicated that's to do with Climate Act and habitats, etc. So this is about not cutting as frequently, cutting at a different time of the year, which would be in the autumn time. And again, that would then help with seeding, etc. So really just wanted to put it before yourselves, in case you haven't seen it, to outline that this will be happening from the DFI perspective. We have no plans to do anything different in relation to what we are doing, with the exception of obviously the let it grow areas that members had agreed to have, and we continue to look at more areas for that. So it's really just to bring it to your attention, members. Happy to listen to any thoughts or comments, but just there as a correspondence. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Barry. Councillor McClellan.
Yes, Chair, thank you for bringing me in this. And yeah, you know, in terms of the creating the habitats and wildflowers and so on, and enhancing our brow diversity, it'll not come as a surprise to any member that I'm the first in here in terms of being supportive of this. So I think it is good. I think it is a good news story. I suppose the one maybe concern I would have would be that I hope that road safety sightlines and so on and so forth won't be compromised, because I think that that's something that we would do at our peril. But I think apart from that, sure, it certainly is to be welcomed in terms of the biodiversity piece. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McClellan. Barry, do you want to come in that? I know we had discussed it as regards to health and safety.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, certainly there isn't a whole pile of detail in the report or in the letter. It does mention, however, that the sightlines and those safety concerns will be paramount. So I would be confident that isn't going to change. How the rest of it fits on the ground, I suppose we'll have to wait and see what the impact of that is. But no, I would imagine, and it says in that letter, that there will be no change in relation to that safety element.
Thank you, Barry. Happy enough that, Councillor McClellan. Thank you. As we have no other relevant business, I think nobody else has anything. I got nothing to notify me of any other business. So that is the meeting finished, and enjoy the rest of the evening and safe journey home. Thank you.